From WICU 12 and Lilly Broadcasting, this is a special election 2012 broadcast. The Erie Reader 2012 Downtown Debate Series from the Jefferson Educational Society. Tonight, the race for the state senate in Pennsylvania's 49th district.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Erie Reader 2012 Downtown Debate Series. My name is Adam Welsh. I'm one of the founders and editors-in-chief of the Erie Reader. Tonight we feature Republican Janet Anderson and Democrat Sean Wiley as they vie to represent the 49th district in the Pennsylvania State Senate, the seat vacated by Republican Jane Earl. It's incredible looking out at this crowd gathered here in common purpose, all of us intent on moving our city forward safely and responsibly into the 21st century. At the Reader, we take our role in this dialogue very seriously. It's the reason we decided to put this event together, the same reason we're all here to listen to Bizzaro and Owen, Anderson and Wiley. They are our friends and our neighbors, but tonight, more importantly, they are our candidates. And they're here to tell us how they share that same goal, how they plan to keep us moving safely and responsibly forward. We're hosting these debates because this matters to our city, our area, and our region, that you have the chance to hear those who want to represent you before you cast your ballot. We're hosting these debates because this city and its future matters to all of us, regardless of whether we're liberal or conservative, left or right, and here we all are. So without further ado, let me introduce tonight's moderator, Lilly Broadcasting's John Last.
Thank you, Adam. Good evening. I'm John Last from WICU 12 News, and it's great to be here at the Jefferson Educational Society tonight. Now, this is the Erie Reader 2012 Downtown Debate for the 49th District of the Pennsylvania Senate, the seat that is being vacated by the retiring Senator Jane Earl. Now, I'd like to, first of all, thank all the people who made this debate possible tonight, sponsors Epic Web Studios, the Jefferson Educational Society, Lilly Broadcasting, and Velocity Network. Thanks again for all your help and assistance. Now I'd like to introduce our panel, the people who will be asking the questions tonight. At the far left of the table, Erie Reader Managing Editor Ben Spagan. In the middle, WICU 12 News Anchor Kevin McDowell. And to the right, Erie Reader Contributing Editor Corey Valancourt. And it's my pleasure to introduce our candidates. First, Republican Janet Anderson, and Democrat Sean Wiley. Now I'll explain how things will work tonight. Each panelist will have 30 seconds to ask a question. Now the first candidate has 90 seconds to answer that question, and then after 90 seconds, the other candidate will get 90 seconds to respond. Then we'll move on to the next question. Now, each candidate will be giving 3 minutes for an opening statement and also for a closing statement. And if you look out into the front row of the audience, you'll see our timer. She will hold a yellow card, and that will mean 30 seconds are left for your answer or response. And when she holds up the red card, that will mean to wrap it up and come to a stop. Now, the candidate's order has been determined by a random drawing, so our opening statement tonight for this debate will be made by Mr. Wiley.
Thank you, John, and thank you to our hosts, Erie Reader Epic Web Studios, the Jefferson Education Society, Lilly Broadcasting Velocity Network. Thank you to our panel, Ben, Kevin, and Corey. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. It's exciting to see so many of you that take interest in this campaign, this election, and interested in drilling down and learning about the issues that we face and the challenges that we face in our own community and how we're going to overcome them. What you'll hear tonight is a clear difference in philosophy. You'll hear a difference in the path that we decide is best for our community. And keep in mind that your vote is the first the first step in the changes that need to be made. I'm excited to share my plans with you tonight. I'm excited to share my path, the path that I feel is best for this community, the best for this region, and the best for this Commonwealth. I believe that the philosophy of building blocks for a strong community are solid. The building blocks of a strong educational system, the building blocks of a strong public safety arena, and incenting private business to grow and to create jobs in our communities. We have the resources we need to do these things. We have the brain power, we have the natural resources, we need the leadership in Harrisburg, and we need the leadership here at home to make the changes that need to be made. Again, I'm looking forward to sharing this with you tonight, sharing my view of these critical issues, and I thank you again for coming.
Your 3-minute opening statement, Ms. Anderson.
Okay. Good evening. I would also like to thank the Erie Reader, the Jefferson Society, WICU, Lilly Broadcasting, and Velocity Network for supporting tonight's event. I would also like to thank John Last, Kevin McDowell, Ben Spagan, Corey Valancourt, and Sean Wiley for participating. Finally, I would like to thank all of you in attendance this evening for coming out on this late night to learn more about the issues that impact you every day. This is an important race, and who we send to Harrisburg does matter. My name is Janet Anderson, and I'm candidate for State Senate in the 49th District. I made the choice to live in Erie and raise my 2 daughters in Fairview, where I currently live. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from Penn State University. I started my studies right here at Barron College, having worked alongside Senator Earle while in her office and also in other positions that I have held. I know that Erie is a long way from Harrisburg, and we need a strong, independent voice, or Erie will suffer. Senator Jane Earle and Governor Tom Ridge know the qualities and skills necessary to represent Erie, and I'm proud to say that both have endorsed me for State Senate. I've spent the last 26 years of my career helping Erie County businesses grow and create jobs. Both Senator Earle and Governor Tom Ridge have watched me do this. In addition to my paid employment, I have given back to this community through volunteering for various organizations, including my church, the Erie Regional Airport Authority, and the arts. My career has been built on public service, and this is the next phase in my commitment. I want to be in a position to help Erie families. I, too, have a plan to increase jobs. It's simple. Reduce corporate taxes, provide a skilled workforce, and protect the public without crushing jobs. So the focus of my campaign is on employers and employees, and we need more of both. The theme is sowing the seeds of progress, and many of you have heard me say this over the last several months. I believe the seeds of progress are things like education, workforce development, infrastructure, healthy and safe communities, and finally, a business-friendly Pennsylvania. With these tools, I believe that working together, we can realize our shared vision for Erie, an Erie that is prosperous for everyone, where we export products and services, not our jobs. An Erie that has opportunity and growth, one where our children can find employment and not have to settle. An Erie with education that meets the needs of all of our students. An Erie where the community is vibrant and self-sustained. Thank you for inviting me here this evening. I welcome all of your questions and the opportunity to provide more detail about this plan.
Thank you, candidates. Now let's move into the questioning. And the first question will be presented by Corey Valancourt, and it will go to Mr. Wiley.
Sean, while John Horniman was a tireless advocate in Harrisburg for the Kansas Cancer Research Foundation, Senator Jane Earle, the woman you both seek to replace, treated the foundation as though it didn't exist. Will you follow Senator Earle's example, or will you pursue a different path?
Well, I think that Mr. Kansas was a monumental fixture in this community. I think what he has done and introduced to this community in his research is monumental. I know that it is still under the research phases, and I can tell you right now that I would support any proven research that comes out of that effort that he has dedicated his life to. I know that his efforts in Texas and his efforts here locally through his commitment to this community and his commitment even past his own life is in an effort to make our community better and make our nation and our world healthier. So with proven results and with proven status of that technology, absolutely I would support his efforts.
Your 90-second response, Ms. Anderson.
I too would support those efforts. Kansas died of cancer. It's a very serious disease. We are fortunate here in Erie to have had him here as a legacy for all of us and for the world, quite honestly. I'm excited from an economic perspective to have had his investments made here. I know many people that have suffered from cancer and look forward to seeing this through to fruition. I would defend Senator Jane Earl and say that she was, while maybe not appearing to be an advocate, has contributed significantly to the Kansas Foundation. And finally, I guess I would also add that my support would be unquestioned.
The next question will be asked by Kevin McDowell, and it will be presented to Ms. Anderson.
Ms. Anderson, I have these numbers burned in my brain because the past few weeks I've sat during the newscast from 5 to 6:30 and 11 to 11:30 seeing this commercial. $92 million in debt, 7,700 people losing their jobs, 79% jump in unemployment, and that's just a few. You've accused your opponent of all that. You call that Sean Wiley's Erie. You've been criticized that that's a little too much. He wasn't necessarily responsible for that. Explain yourself, and then he'll get a chance to respond.
Sure. You know, as the Director of Administration for Erie County, Sean was able to be in charge of the county when County Executive Mark DeVecchio was out of town. Sean also was the #2 man at the county. I know this because I too was an employee of the county throughout the Schenker administration. Mr. Wiley also spent time on in an ad, in a mailing, saying that he, and many of you probably received it, was responsible for 1,100 employees and a $380 million budget. If you're going to take responsibility, you must also be willing to accept some of the blame of what occurred during the time that you were in that position. I would say that that is contrasted to what I did while I was at the county. If you look at that, I completed a solid waste plan, completed a county comprehensive plan, implemented and established an $8 million revolving loan fund for businesses. I had funding for an entrepreneurial assistance program, and finally funding for an international trade program, all of which continue to exist today because they were significant to the county.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
I've been waiting for this question, to be honest with you, Kevin. I am very disappointed in the approach that my opponent has taken in this campaign. I'm very disappointed in the negative launch and the negative campaigning. My opponent is absolutely correct. She should know, and she does know, the role of the Director of Administration. At its best, this is a clear misunderstanding of county government and a clear misunderstanding of the role of the Director of Administration, and at its worst, it's misleading and deceitful to the voters. You know, using the same type of logic, I should be responsible for 2 Super Bowl wins from the Pittsburgh Steelers during that time frame as well. It is really preposterous to see on its face, and it has been recognized by third parties throughout the community, experts in the field, that this is a loss of trust. This is a clear stretch, and it is not accurate. The accusations, the difficulty about this, real quickly, and I'll make a personal touch on this. The difficult part about this is not about me. You know, when we get into this arena, we expect to get criticized. We expect to get the criticism on every face. The difficult part is when kids come home from school and they're criticized at school. Or your mother calls you and she says, "What are they saying about you? This is ridiculous." Well, yes, it's true. And I think that that is recognized throughout the voting population of seriously how absurd the accusations have been.
Thank you, Mr. Wiley. The next question will be presented by Ben Spagan, and it will be presented to Mr. Wiley.
Mr. Wiley, both President Barack Obama and Republican candidate Mitt Romney have focused discussions on making America less dependent on foreign energy, and discussions about wind turbines off the shores of Lake Erie have been presented as a viable option. Specifically, what is your stance on wind farms off the shore of Lake Erie?
We must look at alternative forms of energy. There's no question about it. I was very proud to say that I have been endorsed by Conservation PA. I've been endorsed by Sierra Club most recently, and they recognize my commitment to keeping our community and our natural resources safe, and also looking at alternative forms of energy. It is a critical need that we must look and see how we can alleviate ourselves from this dependence. We have opportunities in this area as far as wind energy, solar energy. We must look and see how we can invest further and progress in our technology in these fields. This is job creation. When we look at this area and we look at how we can enhance or diminish our dependence on foreign energy, we can create jobs here. We do now. We have manufacturers that create these windmills. There's no reason why we can't attract these organizations and these companies to look here. We have the opportunities that we need. We have the resources here. We're plentiful with our natural resources in this area. We have to take advantage of it.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
I agree that we should be considering wind farms off of the shore of Lake Erie. Ohio is doing it. New York is doing it. Canada is doing it. So they're going to be out there. Erie should also benefit from that. I would say that attracting businesses to come to Pennsylvania and specifically to Erie to manufacture will require some changes at the state, specifically corporate net income tax. We need to reduce it. Our capital stock and franchise tax, we need to reduce it. If we do that quickly, we can take advantage of some of those opportunities, and I think we should. And that will be my first attempt when I am elected and go to Harrisburg on your behalf.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. The next question will be asked by Corey Valancourt, and it will be presented to Ms. Anderson.
Janet, Connecticut, Iowa, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and our neighbor to the north, New York, all states that have legalized same-sex marriage. California, Colorado, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, Nevada, Oregon, Rhode Island, Wisconsin, Illinois, Washington, all states that have created legal unions for same-sex couples, offering varying subsets of the rights and responsibilities of marriage under the laws of those jurisdictions. As someone who would represent Erie at the state level, what is your stance on same-sex marriage and legal unions, and what would you do to further legislation to legalize or ban such unions?
Good question. Same-sex marriage marriage is a sacrament. I was raised as a Protestant, and I view it as such, and therefore I would not be in favor of same-sex marriage. I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. With regard to civil unions, I have mixed emotions. I haven't gotten my arms around it completely in my own belief, and I would rely on people from Erie, the population, to help me make up my mind if that decision were to come to fruition. and would reach out as well as invite people to come and talk to me about it and make a decision at that time. But at this moment, I cannot tell you exactly where I fall on civil unions. I do agree that people should be treated equally, so I do have a leaning.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
When you make your choice on who goes to Harrisburg to represent you, we must have a leader that's willing to take a strong position on difficult issues. Corey, everyone deserves the same level of rights, regardless of race, gender, who they fall in love with. Marriage is a religious term. If the church does not recognize a couple that is in love and as a couple in the church's eyes, that's the church's issue. But everyone deserves the same level of rights without distinction. Take this and keep this in mind. When you have a loved one that is in the hospital, think about this, that you are not able to go see that loved one because you're not the significant other. Or you cannot, in an end-of-life situation, make the decisions that your loved one would want you to make because of this not being recognized as a couple. It's wrong. Everyone in this country, every citizen in this country deserves the same level of rights, regardless, without distinction. That's my position on it.
The next question comes from Kevin McDowell, and it will be presented to Mr. Wiley.
Mr. Wiley, on your website, in your pamphlets, top priority of yours is keeping jobs in Pennsylvania. We have been given, I think, a golden opportunity here. We always, we being the city officials, community officials, always seem shocked when a company leaves town. GE is building a plant in Texas. Does the same thing Lawrence Park does, much cheaper. Right now, you land in Harrisburg, what are you going to do? Because if 10 years down the road they announce they're getting out, it would be criminal of lawmakers, especially local lawmakers, not to have done something now.
Kevin, I'll be very straight with you. A lot of these decisions that are made for organizations and companies like GE are not made in Erie, Pennsylvania. But I have to tell you, we must continue the dialogue with the leadership. That goes without saying. One of the things that we can do to keep businesses here and attract new businesses to have 3 core elements of a strong community and make sure that they're strong. We must have a strong educational system that gives our children the opportunity to succeed in the future and trains our workforce effectively. We must have a strong public safety arena that keeps our neighborhoods safe. And we must incent private business to expand their workforce and to grow. You know, it's a key element is to have the relationship with the business community, but we have to have all pieces of the puzzle in place before we can make the engine run. We have to have all of the elements, all of the pieces of the puzzle have to be in place. We have to create a strong environment or a strong atmosphere for growth. And those 3 elements create a strong atmosphere for companies to retain their businesses here, to remain in this area, and to attract new businesses to come in.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
I think that it's a very scary proposition that GE has decided to move their top 50 employees out of Erie, that they have a plant in Texas, and we need to take this seriously. We need to take it seriously right here in Erie, and we need to take it seriously in Harrisburg. If we do not start to look at the competitiveness of Pennsylvania, we will continue to lose businesses. Things like our corporate net income tax, where we tax our employers for the number of employees that they have. Our capital stock and franchise tax needs to be looked at and continue the process that Governor Tom Ridge put in place to eliminate that. When you combine those 2 taxes, we are the 2nd highest taxed state in the world. That's not good enough. That's not good enough for us. Education is extremely important. Workforce development is extremely important. If they cannot find the employees, they will not grow here, they will not stay here. We have to get our arms around this. We have to do it soon, and I would start with taxes.
The next question comes to our panel from the social media. It will be asked by Ben Spagan, and it will be directed to Ms. Anderson.
Ms. Anderson, cities like Jamestown have successfully rebuilt themselves with a more arts-friendly community mindset of attractions first, then followed by housing and retail, while Cleveland and Pittsburgh have seen major economic boosts in becoming film production and cultural hubs. Do you see Erie as a city that can learn from these models and compete? And if so, what specific initiatives will you put into place to revitalize our arts culture and breathe new life into our city?
I absolutely think that we have the opportunity to do that. We have a strong arts community right here in Erie at all levels. We have dance, we have the Art Museum, we have a great Mercyhurst Center right over the hill here. We have the opportunity to do this. We have the Arts Incubator that was started in Edinburgh in conjunction with Edinburgh. And I believe that things like that allow us to grow into that arena quickly. I believe the Arts Incubator provides the opportunity, and we have some good people that are working for the Arts Incubator. We need to move into other areas. We have, as I mentioned, a great dance program here, a feeder program for many of the programs in New York. My daughter happens to be in New York, and she's a dancer. So I believe that we should go after those models, benchmark those cities, and attempt to bring them right here to Erie.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
We have the resources we need here to do amazing things. I said that earlier in our presentation. We have incredible resources. We have incredibly talented people to do things that we've never done. If we want to do something we've never done, if we want something we've never had, we need to do something we've never done. And this is something that we can actually grasp, learn from other communities. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. If it's working someplace else, bring it to Erie and implement those changes. We have amazingly talented people in so many different fields that we have to utilize.
The next question also comes to our panel from social media. It will be asked by Corey Valancourt, and it will be presented to Mr. Wiley.
Sean, every third-class city in Pennsylvania is either in financial distress or teetering on the brink thereof. In a state legislature that is dominated by rural interests, what will you do to make Pennsylvania's cities like Erie globally competitive?
Well, a third-class city like Erie is not unique in the needs that we have to any of the other cities throughout the state of Pennsylvania. I laid out those three core elements, and I strongly believe that that is the case, and that is exactly what we need, those strong pieces of the puzzle. And I said this before, the strong elements of a core, strong community, a strong educational system, a strong incentive program for businesses, and a strong public safety arena attracts and retains business. I applaud Mayor Sennett for his efforts in keeping us out of the Act 47. He has done an amazing job internally in restructuring our finances to make sure that we are solid, and one of the only cities, third-class cities, in that type of condition that have remained out of that act. So I applaud him for that. The state legislature, what role should we play in that effort? And I laid that out. We need to make sure that we fund those key elements responsibly and make sure we create that atmosphere for economic growth. That is the role that the state legislature can play, along with our local elected officials, along with having a collaborative voice from Northwest Pennsylvania, with officials and actually elected officials that have endorsed my campaign that will be in office January 1, to work together to make these changes that need to be made.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
Collaboration is the key. Having a strong voice in Harrisburg is the key. We need to make sure that we have someone in the majority caucus that can help our third-class city or any of our municipalities when they need assistance. The state Senate, whether you like it or not, has been in the Republican hands for decades. It will be in the majority caucus for a minimum of 10 years. And we will not have a strong voice unless we elect me to be in that position. Erie will lose that advantage. And it's similar to Thanksgiving. I would go and sit at the adult table. Sean would sit at the kids' table.
The next question will be asked by Kevin McDowell. It will be presented to Janet Anderson.
Well, okay. Businesses complain about local schools not graduating students qualified to fill their needs. Without getting into a whole thing on education, what would you do about that? And keeping in mind that a couple of years ago we had a proposal on the table for a community college. Community college there has been a recent merger between some local businesses and a local college, but probably not enough to fill the needs. Community college proposed by a lot of folks who thought it would be a good idea. Problem is taxpayers were worried that down the road they were going to end up footing the bill. Would you support a community college? Would you fund it through taxpayer money, through a merger of taxpayer and business? But number one, would you support it?
I would be supportive of a community college. I don't believe that our local officials are. So we have to find other ways to make that happen, make that a reality. The Northwest Industrial Resource Center, in collaboration with the Chamber, Erie Regional and Growth Chamber Partnership, Growth Partnership, actually are doing that very thing. That is one example of a way we can get that job done. Working with Arvo Tech is a way that we can get that job done. I think we have to look for other alternatives to make that happen. Would I be interested in helping to fund such a thing? Absolutely. I worked with, as the executive director of the Northwest Commission until January of this year. Through that organization, I worked with the tooling and machining related industries in Crawford, Erie, and Mercer and Warren counties, Venango County as well, to put together a strategic plan for those, for that industry and manufacturing specifically. During that process, we came up with plans for training, high school kids, robobots, how do we engage the parents, ways to fund college education, and those are the types of things that we need to implement in order to make certain that we are moving into a community college atmosphere.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
Well, sitting at the kids' table, to make something very clear, in the minority in the Senate, first of all, you project yourself very quickly into a leadership position in a committee, much quicker than a majority member, just in sheer numbers, number one. Number two, with the support of elected officials that are in your district, you can make a lot of noise and make some great things happen in the Senate, and we should not base our decision on who we vote for on who is in the majority. Absolutely. Supporting the need for a community college, we have to identify the void. And I disagree with my opponent. I believe that there are officials and leaders in this community that are supportive of a community college. I think it takes political guts to come out and make sure that we fill the voids in our educational system that we need to fill to make sure that our businesses have the workforce that they need and the skilled, specific skills that our workforce needs to fulfill the needs of the business community. I would support a community college. We must identify exactly what the need is. Is it accessible, affordable education for everyone? Absolutely it is. We need to provide that. We have too many people that want to go to school that can't. That's why we need a community college. To satisfy the needs of the business community, that's a second reason to fulfill the need of a community college. It must be structured properly, and if we can embrace our existing facilities, our existing educational facilities, which we have 4 amazing educational facilities in this area, if we can embrace them and change the mindset of the Department of Education, that would go much smoother and would be much more successful.
The next round of questioning will begin with Ben Spagan asking a question to Mr. Wiley.
Mr. Wiley, when asked why people live in Erie, and a common response is it's a good place to raise a family, but with the economy at the forefront of most discussions and debates here, what are good reasons to start a business? So what are 3 good reasons today to start a business in Erie, and what are 3 good reasons to start a business a year after you've been in office?
Our people, our people, our people. That is today and that is tomorrow. We have the hardest working group of people in this community. And once we promote it properly, and once we make sure that those elements that I keep talking about, and we're supposed to mention everything 7 times so it starts to sink in. I think that's the way it is, isn't it, Kevin? We must make sure that those key elements are in place and remain in place. I've taken a very public approach to my criticism of this administration and the policy decisions that have been made and the budgetary decisions that have been made. I've been very critical of the cuts to education. I've been very critical of the cuts to public safety. And I've been very critical of the cuts to social services as well. We must maintain the core services that government is obligated to provide. And when we make these cuts, these significant cuts to these core services, we're taking away the services that the people, the most vulnerable in our community, rely on for their lives. We are taking away the opportunities for our kids to succeed in the future. So that's how we're going to make sure that we have a business-friendly community. And yes, do we have to address the tax incentives? Absolutely we do. But we have to make sure that all of the pieces of the puzzle are in place.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
Well, first of all, I want to go back to the community college. Sean talks a lot about things that cannot be accomplished. I will focus on things that can be accomplished. With regard to creating businesses in Erie, I believe that we need to start with the tax situation. That is something that is an immediate need. It's already been started. We can get that off the ground, and we can attract businesses in year 1 and year 3, and I will focus on those things. Education is absolutely critical to the attraction of business. The education system is the pipeline for our future employees. People of the 21st century, our next leaders. So we absolutely have to shore up education, and I too have been critical of the governor and his cuts to education. Thankfully, the Republican Senate put the money back in to education to fund it at previous levels. If you look at the past 4 years, it was actually Governor Rendell who cut the education budget and used stimulus money to shore it up. In addition, we need to get people that are out of work back to work. We need to provide them with workforce development. We have people that have a work ethic, that will get up and go to work every day, work on time, and focus on what they need to do to get the job done. We've got to get them back into the system. People are absolutely one of the strongest. Our community of life is a strong reason for businesses to come here, and water is another big reason for businesses to come here.
The next question will be presented by Corey Valancourt, and it will go to Ms. Anderson.
Janet, going back to what you call Sean Wiley's Erie, there seems to be some contention over the role of the County Director of Administration. What exactly, as you understand it, is the role of the County Director of Administration?
Well, As Sean says it's to oversee a $380 million budget and approximately 1,100 employees. All of the directors at the county did report to the county administrator, Office of Administration. They would present their budget. He was the second in command, so he was the aide, the top aide to the county executive. He did provide counsel and guidance to the county executive in that role. And anything that the county executive, anytime that the county executive was out of town, he was responsible for the county. That is the role of the Office of Administration.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
Absolutely right on all counts. My opponent is absolutely right on all counts. A couple of the things that she did not mention is that the Director of Administration does not impose tax legislation. The county the Director of Administration does not incur debt for the county. And the Director of Administration is responsible for managing the operations of the county and oversees 13 different departments within county government. If you can take what we just said, both of us just said, and relate it to the negative campaigning that my opponent is launching, it doesn't make sense on its face. To incur $92 million debt, 21% increase in taxes, as the Director of Administration, you do not have the ability to do any of those things. It is an operational role. And I'm glad that my opponent has made that clear tonight. I'm very glad that she has, because that is completely different than the messaging that she's putting out there in the media. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The next question will be presented by Kevin McDowell, and it will go to
Mr. Wiley.
Mr. Wiley. Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Wiley, Obamacare, do you support it in its entirety? Do you support it partly? When the time comes to opt out for the state, because a lot of people think that it's going to be a huge tax increase, would you encourage the state to opt out? Would you want to stay in?
But see, Kevin, that's the unknown, is the tax increase. The tax component of that is still unknown.
The problem is there's so much unknown.
Right, there is so much unknown. So it's a very difficult question. But the Affordable Care Act, it depends on who you ask what it's called, but the Affordable Care Act is a launch in the discussion of health care reform. And the President has made it very clear, if you have a better way, propose it. And it hasn't been proposed yet. I believe that everyone deserves the right to affordable, quality health care. The avenue to get there has been proposed and has been passed. And as a state legislator, as a state senator, you are obligated to follow the law of the land. And absolutely, I would support it. If it is constitutional and it is the law, we will implement it. And I believe that everyone has the right to affordable access to quality health care.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
I'd like to go back to the administrator. Sean, did you send plows to anyone's private homes, and did you approve comp time for 911? Let's go to Obamacare now. It is an unknown. You're absolutely right. And until the next president is elected, we don't know how that will pan out. And I think we're going to have to wait until November, sometime after November, and probably into January until everyone's back in Washington. With regard to Pennsylvania, my fear is that businesses will limit the number of hours that their employees work so that they're not responsible to pay for this. And I think that's a real risk, so that people still will not have the coverage that we anticipate through the Affordable Act or Obamacare or whatever you want to term it. So I will wait until the election and determine what happens beyond that and what my stance will be. But I think we'll be looking for alternative care. I would opt that Pennsylvania would have the say on how it responds.
Next question comes from Ben Spagan, and it will be addressed to Ms. Anderson.
Ms. Anderson, in 1913, Erie had the Nolan Plan. In 1963, Erie had the Roosevelt Plan. Both plans shaped the landscape of Erie, both physically and economically. Now, Erie has a new plan, Destination Erie, a regional vision. What type of identity do you currently see Erie having, and in what direction do you think this current plan should take Erie for the next 50 years?
Good question. I am thrilled that Destination Erie is going on. I think it's time that Erie step up and have a plan. I think that we have changed significantly from the previous plan, and it's important for our leaders to know the direction that we are going. I believe that we have a diverse economy. We should continue to pursue a diverse economy, with manufacturing being a stronghold. I think that what we're doing with the inland port is of significant importance to our direction. I believe our tourism is of significant importance to our future direction. And I think that allowing the public to be involved and the leadership to step up and embrace Destination Erie will change the landscape of Erie.
Your response, Mr. Wiley.
Well, we have had a plan. We've had a plan for a number of years. Erie County has had a plan on, and it's been evolving as we've gone. Destination Erie is a fantastic thing. It is a stronghold and a proponent of how we move forward. We have to continue to market what we all already know of how wonderful this community is and how wonderful this community can be and friendly this community can be for our businesses. We have to make sure that we get the word out of how fantastic we are. We have that opportunity. I think we have to invest more in our marketing of our natural resources. We do have a plentiful natural resources. My opponent spoke of water. Absolutely. We have a plethora of water that is very attractive to a number of businesses throughout the world, and we have to market that more effectively. I think the Destination Erie is an effective tool to make that happen.
We have time for one more question in the regular round of questioning, and that will be asked by Corey Valancourt, and it will go to Mr. Wiley.
Sean, as Jay Stevens wrote in the Erie Reader a couple of months back, we have a blank canvas on the lakefront. It's called the GAF site. Now, I know there's not a lot of legislative wrangling available for anyone to really do. However, I think this speaks to the core issue and what I think is the most important issue in this election, which is retaining the jobs that drive this region. With that being said, how do you see GAF? In your wildest dreams, what is Sean Wiley's GAF?
Sean Wiley's GAF. Let's see. No, I tell you.
And then Janet Anderson's GAF, please.
Well, I have to tell you, I think that we have a tremendous opportunity on our bayfront. I think it's an opportunity that we cannot be casual about. And I think that the dialogue that has been going on, I know that Dave Brennan has been instrumental in creating a plan, and a number of others have created a plan to consider. I think that's very, very healthy, and I would encourage more of that. I think that the more opportunity that the public has to weigh in on exactly what we need to see in that area, in that part of our bayfront, the diamond on that bayfront, I believe that we're going to have a really, really fantastic plan that's going to be very effective for our bayfront progression.
Your response, Ms. Anderson.
The GAF site does provide a tremendous opportunity for Erie going forward. And we have a beautiful convention center with a beautiful hotel. I'm hopeful that that site will be a multi-use site going forward. I think that what Dave Brennan has proposed is a great plan. I think that whatever Erie decides to get behind should be presented to Harrisburg for funding, because it's an absolute benefit for Erie and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to develop that site, further develop that site for local economic benefit and benefit to the Commonwealth. We have something here in Erie that the rest of the Commonwealth does not have. We have beaches, we have plentiful water, and there is nowhere else where you can find the beaches and the plentiful water like we have right here in Erie, and we need to take advantage of that. I believe that a multi-use is what we need on our bayfront.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Unfortunately, our debate is coming to an end, and it's time for closing arguments. And we will start those closing statements. Each candidate, once again, will have 3 minutes for their closing statement, and we will begin with Mr. Wiley.
Well, thank you. Thank you to the sponsors again. Thank you to the Jefferson Society, Erie Reader, John, all of the sponsors tonight. I want to also thank my family that are here, my wife, Stacy, my 2 of the 3 kids, my mom and dad. This has been a crazy ride. I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk to you tonight. And I appreciate that you've taken the time to meet with us, to learn about these issues and to learn about our positions on these issues. You know, before I worked in county government, I had no idea. I had no idea the needs that we had in this community. I truly had no concept of how others live their lives in this community and the challenges that our children and our families face. I didn't have a concept of what that was. I had the 3 kids, the wife, the dog, and the white picket fence. And until January 2006, I was blind to the real need of this community. You know, I get asked quite frequently of, why are you doing this, Sean? Why are you running for office? It's not the path of least resistance. And they're absolutely right. My experiences in the county and my experiences throughout my life have lent itself to this. When I had the opportunity to run for this office, I grasped it, and we have been running full bore since. This community deserves to have leadership with conviction. This community deserves to have leadership with strength and a loud voice from this part of the state. It is imperative that we move forward in this community. It's imperative that you choose, you make the first step in the changes by casting your vote on November 6th. Choose the philosophy that best suits yours, that best matches yours, and vote. You know, my opponent's commercial, it says Sean Wiley's Erie. Well, she's mistaken. This is our Erie. Yes, I was born and raised here. This is our Erie. This is the Erie we love. I do agree with her on one point, on one issue. It's very, very important who we send to Harrisburg. Very important. My name is Sean Wiley. I'm asking for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Your 3-minute closing statement, Ms. Anderson.
I too would like to thank everyone for coming out, for our sponsors and our participants this evening. It's great to be here. It's good to talk about the issues with all of you. I believe that the greatest issue that we face in this community is job creation, employers and employees. We need more of both. We need you to go out and vote for more of both on November 6th. You've heard from 2 people this evening that have great intentions, but only I can deliver. I'm the only one with the experience and the plan, the real plan, to bring jobs to Erie families. As a member of the Majority Caucus, I will have a strong voice in Harrisburg from day one. I will not have a learning curve. I will start the moment that I arrive. I will immediately speak to the governor about the need for education and immediately speak to the governor about the changes needed in the designation from rural to urban and get that reclassified. I've already written letters to that effect. I want us to maintain a bridge to Harrisburg that was built by Governor Tom Ridge and maintained by Senator Jane Earl. Their confidence in me, after watching me work for both of them, along with that of Sean's former boss, Mark DeVecchio, illustrates my ability to work across party lines to get things done for Erie. I have no ego. I'm not going for me. My reward will be in helping the people of Erie. I want to be your next state senator to keep us on track and get Erie back to work. I have a different skill set than Senator Jane Earl, one that allows us to focus on the main issues impacting Erie today. Thank you for your time, and please consider who you vote for on November 6th. It does matter who we send to Harrisburg. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Once again, it's been a pleasure to be the moderator for tonight's debate. I would like to thank the sponsors, Epic Web Studios, the Jefferson Educational Society, Wiley Broadcasting, the Velocity Network. I'd like to thank our panelists, Corey Valancourt, Kevin McDowell, Ben Spagan, and the Erie Reader. Once again, thank our candidates, Janet Anderson and Sean Wiley. And thank you, everyone, for being here, and thanks, everyone, for watching. And remember, Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th. Good night from the Erie Jefferson Educational Society.
From WICU 12 and Lilly Broadcasting, this has been a Special Decision 2012 broadcast, the Erie Reader 2012 Downtown Debate Series. Special thanks to additional sponsors, the Jefferson Educational Society, Epic Web Studios, and Velocity Network. Thank you for joining us, and remember to go to the polls and vote on November 6th.